We were sitting down with Maddy Jump, Stetson softball, student athlete. She's also holds positions for the Deland Suns and of the Florida Collegiate Summer League, as well as Stetson University's athletic marketing team. She also has a passion for CrossFit, and at Stetson, she actually took over for me as a specific role there. So it's interesting to talk to someone else that's been through what I've been through. Welcome to the pod, Maddy.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Of course, of course. And with Athlete POV, we like to get right into it. So, another hard-hitting question right off the bat. What do you think motivates you the most to, like, in everything you do, your craft? What do you think motivates you?
Oh my gosh. I think, honestly, what motivates me, it sounds cliche, but it's really my family. I come from a family of just like hard workers. I know my grandfather is one of the hardest working men that I know. My dad, he owns his own company, so I've always seen him, working really hard to make that happen and be a life goal of his. And then my mom has always just pushed me, like, if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability. And I have a younger sister, so I guess what really motivates me is to kind of instill that same value in her and really just show that, like, you really can do anything, like, no matter what anyone tells you.
Right, and
So,
being involved in so many things, like you're a student athlete, but you also work basically two positions, right? For in like social media, correct?
yes, yeah.
Yeah. So with all that stuff going on in like school, you do CrossFit as well. How do you manage the negative effects of sometimes burning out?
I think that I handle the negative effects of, like, burning out I just know that it's going to happen. Like, there
Mm.
is, like, that is going to happen. So I think that I kind of have had to, like, find ways, like, how do I manage that, and like, what are ways that help me get back on track, like, get back on pace. And even if for me, like, honestly, that's like cleaning my apartment, like, just deep cleaning everything, like fresh reset, kind of like that. One way that really helps me is I love to work out, like you said, like CrossFit. So I kind of really only do that in the off season, along with the programming that's provided with us by Stetson.
Right.
So just even going for a walk before practice, or just like going for a drive, that helps out a lot. So
Mm.
just ways that I can kind of handle that in ways that I know help me out the best.
Right. So you mentioned CrossFit only in the off season. Is it like something that you're not able to do during like the softball season because there's no time?
Yeah, it's just not really realistic. And honestly, like, just being a student athlete, your body is so, I don't want to say drained, but it's a lot. It's a huge toll on your body. We go from 8-hour weeks to 20-hour weeks and expected to have even more time put in outside of that while also maintaining a GPA. So for us to keep that up, it just doesn't make any sense for me physically or mentally.
Mm. Do a lot of your teammates also do CrossFit in the off season to like stay on like active?
Um, they don't do specifically CrossFit, but I know, like, I have a teammate, she loves doing spin classes, so, like, cycle bar, like, that's kind of her thing that she enjoys doing, along with the programming that we're provided at Stetson. So we got a new strength coach, and he is amazing. He wrote us out. It's listed day by day on a calendar for what we're supposed to do for that day. So we've been
Mm.
doing that over the summer, and we've seen a ton of, like, improvement in our physical and mental health with that new programming as well.
Yeah, I mean, a solid strength coach that can implement like a training schedule into any team heavily benefits. Like, I'm not sure what you guys had before. The new trainer probably had something similar, but a new like revolutionized like plan to follow that's like strict with discipline is like that's really what makes a difference, I think, in a team. I mean, I can talk from
Yeah.
experience with my high school football team. I'm sure all high schools had some like training schedules, but the one we had was like very intense, and yeah, you can definitely see impacts there of change. Yeah. So
Yeah.
now another part, we saw you on a podcast. I watched it, and it was like you were talking about like nutrition a lot and food and like the benefits of that. So can you go into some of your favorite healthy foods that you think you consume a lot more often than other foods?
Okay. I love smoothie bowls. I don't know. Do you know what, like, an acai bowl? Like,
Yes.
those were all the trends on Instagram a while ago. So I've learned how to make those at home with, like, Greek yogurt, protein powder, even, like, just some vegetables, like, snuck in there to kind of help after workouts. Those have helped a lot. Another thing, just being from Florida, like, really replenishing on electrolytes. So tons of, like, liquid IV, Gatorade, things of that nature. Oh gosh, and, like, anything quick. Like, if I can, like, like, working for Stetson socials, once I'm done with practice, if I don't have a night class, I'm typically showering and going to a game to work that game. So if I can like make a wrap or a sandwich or just something to like heat up in a Tupperware, chicken, rice, vegetables, you know, the basics of nutrition, I'm typically making that. So anything that's quick, easy, on the go, and I can get like good protein, carbs, and fats in, that's what I'm working with.
Anybody can go like work out and do as much sets of whatever they want to do, but without nutrition, it's really all not for nothing, but all like you're minimizing your growth, I think, and like overall health, right? So on the opposite side now, can you give me the top 3 types of foods to avoid?
Oh gosh. Probably like my 3 guilty pleasures, like ice cream, really any, I don't want to say avoid because I don't like to, like completely cut out foods because if I enjoy food, I'm going to want it. Like if I completely, cut it out, I will just like miss it a lot and I'll get grouchy. But I guess really anything that like you're not going to feel good the next day or in like 2 hours. So some foods that I really like just try and avoid is like if there's like a grilled option, I'll get that over the fried option. Or like instead of like soda, I've kind of like cut that out to more of like sparkling waters. Some people hate LaCroix. I love them personally. So things like that. Just really anything just like it's loaded with like butter, like anything fried, I would say I try to typically avoid just because I know that I don't feel good and it's not fueling my body in the best way that I can.
Are you a fan of the Stetson like cafe that they have there?
I am. I would say sometimes it's hard just because like sometimes I just don't like the food there, but I think typically, like if you see me and my teammates in the Stetson dining hall, we're probably having grilled chicken sandwiches with salads and like a cookie, like something super simple. I don't want to say that it's the same every night, but it typically is. There is a lot of variety, I will say, so it's a little bit easier to make kind of what you want and make the best of it. However, I am a fan, yeah. I'm a big fan of the coffee shop because I am a caffeine addict, so that's always been good to me, and I love the smoothies that they have there.
Likewise, the caffeine addict, I stick to my favorite right now is those Bang energy shots.
Oh, you're crazy.
No?
I can't do those.
Is that?
But good for you.
I used to have like the normal can of Bang, but like sometimes I just feel like it'd be less liquid to just drink the shot form. But
fair.
But anyway, I only mentioned the Stetson cafes because I'm familiar with it too, and I remember me and my friends in my freshman year. I was in like the freshman dorms, and the hallway we would all go, like 4 of us, whatever, and everyone would grab like a burger from the grill station, but I would get like the grilled chicken because like I thought it was better and I thought it tastes better. So that's the only reason I mentioned that. But
that's typically what I get as well.
Yeah. Something else I wanted to ask you was, what do you think in like athletes' health right now? What do you think is the biggest problem within the health of athletes throughout the country and college sports and that combined?
I want to say like unfortunately I think the biggest issue is like the mental health aspect of it, especially I think that that's something that a lot of athletes struggle with. However, I think that a lot of schools are starting to implement ways into like making sure that athletes are taken care of on that front. I know that at Stetson, like our coaches have always been like, look, like if you need to talk to us, like we are here for you, or if you don't want to talk to us, there are other resources here. So they've kind of always made that well known to us that if we need to talk to a therapist or something where we find that our mental health is affecting our day-to-day life or our gameplay, that there are resources available for us. But I think that when we talk about the health part, like if we get into the physical health, I think that something that I've always seen is like nutrition. Like how do we fuel our bodies the right way to feel good so that we can avoid injury as well. Like I've always been very blessed that I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't had a major injury when it comes to being an athlete. And I think that part of that is because like I choose to fuel my body in the right ways and I choose to get my recommended sleep if I can and things like that. So I think just really like making sure that we're taking care of ourselves first so that we can be good teammates, good classmates, and good friends as well. So I think that that's a big thing that affects student athletes today.
Mhm. Speaking of like nutrition and physical and like how they affect each other, we just posted a one of our posts on Athletic Minds yesterday was like nutrition is just important as physical activity and stuff like that. And we had a comment that said more important. So sometimes I think people could say that nutrition could be more important, but I think the majority doesn't think that. So that's a real effect I think we should keep promoting and keep getting on that movement. Not even a movement; it's just like what you should be doing, sort of like balancing act.
Yeah, no, for
But
sure.
you mentioned sleep now and getting the recommended hours of sleep. Tell me how important sleep could be for you, and what is the recommended hours of sleep that you follow and other people should too.
Um, I have a fitness thing. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called a Whoop. Um, so it tracks like just like my heart rate, resting heart rate, my workouts, calories, all the like what you would track on an Apple Watch essentially. So it will recommend like a set amount of sleep for me. I typically find that to be around 7 to 8 hours a night. So I do shoot for that. Um, it is a little bit, it's difficult in the school year because we have the 6 a.m. lifts. So I like to get that 8 hours of sleep, and that's something that I really prioritize. Um, During the summer, and like I said, I work for a college summer ball team, so our games are at night. So I'm typically getting home around like 11:30 every night. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to get in what I need, but
Mm.
make it happen. Um, but I think it's something that's super important because, like, if you don't get the sleep we were talking about, I feel sluggish during the day. Like, I'll feel slower at practice, and it's just something that, like, talking to my friends, even on other sports, are like, yeah, like, I barely slept last night and I had a bad practice, or I was falling asleep in class and I couldn't focus. So it not only affects the physical aspect, being a student athlete, but also the student part, which is, as they say, student athlete, the student comes first. So that's a big thing for us.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, myself, sleep really isn't the best it could be, I would say. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like I work sometimes too much, or I'm just, get distracted too often, and I can always see,
Yep.
not always, but sometimes see myself on my phone in my bed, scrolling through random stuff, and it's just, I know it's not healthy, and I know stuff has to change, but sometimes that's like the struggle, and I think sometimes our generation with like upbringing of technology falls into a trap of
Mm-hmm.
like, and then they get stuck, and then like you can say like sometimes addicted to like phones, or like the lack of sleep is a negative effect of that. So I feel like that's
Oh,
definitely a
yeah.
struggle too. That everyone's still working to get better on. Well, I shouldn't say everyone. People that care and like people with like some sort of like self conscious really try to help. But there's I don't think not that I don't think, but it's really hard to I think avoid falling into that in this day and age.
Yeah, and you know how it is. Like, I'll stay up past midnight, like editing a graphic or editing pictures for my guys. Like, I'm like, look, I took these pictures tonight. I want to get them done, edited, renamed, alphabetized, and sent out to them. And like, they'll message me. And they're like, "Why did you send us a link at 12:30 at night? Like, why are you still working?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't go to bed until it was done." So, you totally know how it is.
Yeah, I remember not this past night, the night before. I had something to do yesterday, so the podcast that goes live today, July 8th, I was up late at night editing for about an hour.
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
just like the cuts between the cameras to show everyone like while they're talking. I mean, it's a tedious process, but like I don't know, something about me can't sit right if something isn't done in a time frame I'd like, you know.
No, I totally get it. And just having it at our fingertips, like on our laptops and on our phones, it makes it so easy just to do it from bed or sitting at the kitchen table. So you never really leave work, essentially.
Right. I think something else about like COVID has been people have adapted so much to being at home, working from home, that it's just
Hmm.
become like you don't want to go back to a regular going into a job, or like you don't want to like put away your device that kept you occupied for like 2 years basically, or something like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like Zoom University, my freshman year.
Yeah, me too. I was sitting in Smith Hall with my laptop, and all 4 of my classes were there.
Yep. So you know exactly how it is.
Yeah. All right, going back to the CrossFit side of yourself in the summers, you say away from school, away from like the softball training. What would you say
Yeah.
after like the cycle of like college sports really ends for you that CrossFit could be really like the main focus of like your fitness and like your physical health?
Um, I'd like to think so. Yes, I'm a very competitive person, so I kind of like the competitive aspect of it. My whole family does it, so
Oh.
we'll always compete with each other. I'm like, "What time did you get on this? Like, how many reps did you get in? Like, what are you doing so that I can beat you?" And I'm like, "I shouldn't be competing against my dad, but I am." So I like to think that it's a really good just way for me to stay physically active and fit in a way that I enjoy. Everybody has their thing that they enjoy. Some people like yoga, spin class, like we talked about. I know Orange Theory is really big, but that's just something that I really enjoyed. So I definitely see it being a part of my life after softball is over, just because it's a way for me to stay fit, and it's an hour out of my day at a place that I really enjoy with people who I love seeing every single day. So I'm not sure if I would like ever compete in it, simply because I don't know if I would have enough time to dedicate to the competition side of it. However, it's definitely something that will be implemented like in my day to day afterwards.
Hmm. And now I can sort of relate to that because after high school for me, I played baseball and football in high school. I didn't play any sports in college, but I was still maybe going to the gym regularly on really the same training
Yeah.
schedule that I would go follow during football off season for whatever reason. Just because I thought I'm used to that, I can keep doing it, whatever. But lately, I've just really put maybe work first, I think, and not really
Okay.
being so dedicated to like the physical aspect. So I can see maybe where you might not fall off, but like stop being so dedicated to like because you're think of it this way when you're doing sports like softball, right? CrossFit maybe is a
Mhm.
bridge to stay active. So maybe once like the career
Yeah.
happens and maybe you move up in a social media position somewhere else or whatever you want to do, that CrossFit could be like you like time commitment. You might not have enough to be like, oh, I want to take that to the next level, like you said, competitive. But
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. But like even just something that I found like during the summer. So like I said, like we have our programming. So all like I set out a lunch break for myself. I like to call it that. And I go and I work out from 12 to 1:30. Like that's like my time. Like I give myself 90 minutes and I'm like, okay, like no laptop, no phone, no work. Like I'm not responding to emails or anything like that. Like I'm like, I have to dedicate it to that. Like, and that's just kind of what I found helps me a lot, because
mm,
I think something that I struggle with and a lot of athletes struggle with during the summers is lack of schedule and routine. So that's kind of helped me, keep a good baseline and not really miss what I enjoy doing, but also get done what I need to get done.
right, and I feel like everyone has goals in the back of their mind that they want to complete, but I'd say more than enough people have goals but don't have a plan to hit them. And that also means that they don't have a schedule to take daily, consistent action to reach where they want to get to. And I think not being, an athlete anymore has really pushed like my whole like mind into like trying to figure out what I want to do. And I figured out what I want to do, sort of. And I then created a schedule. So something I go by is like if it's not in the Google Calendar, then it doesn't exist. If that makes sense.
Okay.
I feel like I've got
Yeah.
not like completely down like to the minute whatever, but scheduling for like important tasks throughout the day. I feel like that's one of my strongest like attributes, I guess you can say right now. But say my physical health maybe has taken a toll about working out every day, but maybe just that's a trade off that I'm willing to make right now. So
Hmm.
that's like this maybe the scheduling side for myself.
Yeah, it's all about the priorities, which I'm sure you understand. Is this Athletic Minds has grown a ton. Like I've loved watching you just grow this podcast and things like that, and seeing who you have on, which is awesome. So
Thank you.
yeah, of course. No, I saw you at Kaylee Mudge, and she's one of my like really close hometown friends.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
she was one of our earlier episodes, I think. Maybe in the first 15 or 20 episodes. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's great. I grew up playing softball with her, so small world.
Yeah. I mean, the podcast itself, I'm shocked how far that I've been able to take this. We started just like, cold reaching out to like athletes through Instagram DMs, and we would source like a
Mm-hmm.
whole, Florida State softball team, and we would get maybe one or two responses, and then we would just take it
Yeah,
from there, and then we'd do other teams, and then recommendations from athletes themselves that we've had on to other people. So it's been just cool to see like the network that I've developed within Athletic Minds community. And I mean, I have so many goals I think for the future that I just need to keep doing and to keep taking action, and then hopefully we'll fall through eventually with what I ultimately want to have developed. So that's exciting.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
great.
But now more about yourself. This is your episode, not mine. Tell tell me about your current roles with Stetson in the marketing department and with the Deal and Sons, and what does like that really mean to you, and what do you hope those two roles can get you in the future for like the next step?
Yeah, so my current role with Stetson Athletics Marketing is I currently run the Stetson Hatters account. And then, so anything that you really see on there is either me or the GA, who we are getting a new GA.
Oh,
Augusta got her master's. She's doing great. So we are getting a new GA. I'm looking forward to meeting him. So my role there is really just if a like sponsorship wants to post or anything like that, or any specific teams. Football game days, really promoting those in the fall. Those are big for us, as you know. Lots of just like immediate content, stories, Twitter updates, Instagram Facebook stories. I think those are a thing now.
Facebook stories.
And lots of just like hosting giveaways. So as you remember, I don't know if you did the QR codes, but kind of like I want to say going away with those and getting more like fan engagement on the social medias is something that I'm looking forward to doing. Like Instagram has those little buttons that are like, show us how you do this, or like add your own. I want to do like, show us how you do Hatter Game Day, like show us how you show your Stetson spirit and things like that. Like doing giveaways there, really creating fan involvement on that front. So I did get to do a little bit of work with Stetson baseball. So other than softball, I love baseball. It's my favorite sport, and I'm friends with a lot of the guys on the team. So I got to go in there with my nice Canon camera and get some pictures, make some edits for them, some videos, which Augusta helped me edit, and really try and grow them online because for some reason, I don't know if you know this, but like Twitter is huge for baseball and baseball recruiting,
Oh yeah.
major league recruiting, things like that. It's insane. So really just like promoting them on there. So that's a lot of the work that I do. I do some team ops stuff as well, just to help out because I never know when I'm going to need that, especially because you know how crazy sports are.
Right.
Like, you never know what you're going to get into. I guess kind of going more to the DeLand Sons. So I am their like full-time social media manager. So anything that is posted by the DeLand Sons, that's all me. Like graphics, Twitter. I do in-game Twitter updates, Instagram story updates, game day pictures, game day graphics, promotions, things of that nature. Like really promoting our guys and making them look good. So really filming anything and everything that I can, and then I upload it all to my laptop at the end of the day, edit those pictures, like I said, rename them and send them out so that the boys can use those to hopefully get drafted. And Florida's summer ball is a lot of, we have a lot of guys who are in the transfer portal actually, which has become a huge thing in athletics now. So another way for them to also get recruited by a new school. So I have a few guys who are like undecided on schools, so then they can share those videos to the schools that they want to get recruited by. So I love helping people help themselves, I guess. And I always tell them, I'm like, help me make you look good on the internet. Like, that's my job here. So anything like that. I was actually blessed with the opportunity to go and work a MLB prospect showcase through the league. They asked me to go work that. So that was awesome, getting to work all of the socials on there, meeting guys from different leagues and seeing how they really appreciate being shown online as well and getting those pictures, because just from a student athlete, I know it's the coolest thing when you get that awesome action shot and you're like, yes, I can post this on all of my social media. Like, this person's awesome. So, really just, I want to say helping out my friends. Like, you really do form a relationship with all of these athletes, and it's a great time. It's been the best summer ever so far.
Wow. That's so cool to hear because I literally have the same ideology in terms of like thinking how cool that is. You know, I
Yeah.
remember, doing the same position you were doing, and I was like on the basketball court because during COVID, basketball was the only sport that was really going on when I was there in like
Uh-huh.
November 2020. And I would like have my tripod with my phone attached, and I would like go around the court holding it up to like get the highlight of like, and then go edit it the same night before to have it uploaded the following afternoon, as we would be told to do. So, but then being
Yeah.
asked to like take it a step further to go to like that prospect game probably was like, whoa, like okay, I'm actually like maybe leveling up. I'm recommended to do something else other than what I'm really being told, to do. So that's pretty cool and like leveling up. In the social media, sports world. And the thing you mentioned about like seeing like athletes' faces or like feeling how they're feeling about giving them a sort of piece of content to put out there that that'll like be good for them, and like helping them like maybe get to a different school if they're in the transfer portal. That's what it's all about. I think that's pretty cool to see like how you can like, I guess you can say, in some cases, change someone's life about like giving them an opportunity. So that's
Yeah.
really cool.
No, for sure. It's been so much fun. I mean, the 11-hour bus ride to Virginia, different story, but it was great. I got to actually, so one of my, I guess, I don't want to say coworkers, but one of the other interns, her name is Julia, and she works with UCF Athletics. So getting to have her on my side and kind of having two people do it as well was awesome. Like, we got tons of good content out, and we were really able to like help those guys get looked at. We had a kid. So he's a good friend of mine. I've known him forever, and so being able to watch him succeed has been the coolest thing. And the first game there, he was hitting for the cycle. He was just shy of the double, and
Got the triple, but not the double.
he got the triple, the first at bat, and then the home run, and then the single, and then he almost had the double. He got two singles instead. So we had just scouts asking about him, and like even just the coaches at the school that we were at, they're like, we want him. Like, why isn't, like, can he be in the portal? And we were like, sorry, like, he's staying at his school. And then the next day he hit a grand slam, and so I got like pictures of him just crossing home plate, and those have been like the cover photo for everything that's Florida League lately. And just watching like kids that I've known forever, and even kids that I just met on that trip, succeed and get looked at by these scouts has been just the greatest feeling. Because unfortunately, like, I don't want to say there isn't a future in softball, but it's very rare. Like, pro softball is still growing. However, like, watching these boys possibly get drafted after their junior year when they're 21, and knowing like, oh, I maybe had a little bit of help in that because my posts got liked by a certain scout. Like, that's just such a good feeling of knowing that you possibly help someone achieve their dreams.
Something similar to that was one of the early podcast episodes we did with a University of Washington football player. Was we uploaded it to Twitter, everything, like whatever, and then the head coach of Washington liked the tweet. I was like, whoa, he saw that.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, what like, sports is so crazy, especially not the professional level and before, because something work in the background that you do, like the back end stuff, can really push out to like people to get the athlete into the right position that they want to get into. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
So now I think well, I'll ask you first. Was Stetson like the first sports social media thing that you had going?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Well, a teammate actually sent me the post that you guys were looking for someone new. And I had just been joking around on TikTok like a few weeks before. I had a couple like a good amount of views, like nothing like crazy, but I was like, oh, okay, like maybe I'm kind of getting good at this. And I've always just loved social media, like playing. I don't want to say playing on my phone, but I was like, I can totally make this up. Like, I'm a pro at this.
Right.
And I was like, all right, why not? I'm going to apply. What's the worst that could happen? They tell me no. And then Zach reached out, and he was like, all right, what's your following count look like and everything? And I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting a reply, but here it is. And then the next week they were like, it's yours. See you on a Zoom call next week. And I was like, I have no clue what I'm getting myself into, but I'm excited, and we're going to see what happens. So
Man, I remember for me, Stetson was also what I don't know if you would count Athletic Minds as my first sports thing that I created my own, but for someone else like a company, Stetson was my first thing as well. And I remember in like the summer going into like the freshman year of 2020, I was like looking for a job because I wanted to get a job on campus because I'm from New Jersey. I'm moving to Florida with really nothing in
hmm
terms of like making a money or a job. So I was looking for something I could do at Stetson, and and this is when Athletic Minds was really like I think starting or picking up sort of a little bit of steam, and I was looking for jobs, and I was like, oh my god, social media sports, this is like exactly what I do. This would be perfect for me. Didn't think I was gonna get it just because I was like I don't have any experience, but credible
yeah,
experience, but. Zach was like, "Hey, come on! I want to talk to you and talk about your brand," and told him all about it, and that ultimately led to being hired. So that's pretty cool.
yeah. That's exactly like I was like I have no credible experience other than some TikToks that I made as a joke in my dorm room. Like, I mean, if that's what you want to see, like we can make it happen. But so I totally get what you're saying with the experience. And I wasn't even looking for a job. Like they were just my teammates sent it to me and was like, you should totally just do this. Like, why not? What? Just see what happens. And I just like
Speaking about that job post, do you know how hard it was for me to post that for my own job?
I bet I was like, oh my gosh, like I felt so bad because you were so nice on the Zoom call. I was like, I don't want to take his job, but I'm sure I'm gonna feel the same way when I graduate. Like, I don't,
Man,
I don't want
I
anyone
mean,
to take it.
I transferred, and Zach was telling me at one point that I might be able to keep it as like a contractor, but then it wasn't in the cards anymore because it had to be like a Stetson student, or the job was like tailored towards a Stetson student. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, but that was tough, and I'm sure, not I'm sure, I know it's in good hands, the position, and whoever
Thank
ends up
you.
next time, you'll do the same thing I did. But regardless about that, going into another, not really another topic, just an advice piece from yourself. What would you say as a piece of advice to anyone trying to get into working in sports? Like I know in maybe our scenarios it was just a spontaneous course of action, but like if there was a really direct way you would recommend someone, yeah, I want to try to get an introductory experience. How would you say to go about something like that?
I would say, oh gosh, um, I would tell them be prepared to do anything and everything. Like apply for anything that you can if that is what sparks your interest. I know like my dream job was sideline reporting for the St. Louis Cardinals, and I never thought that I would be spending my summer behind the camera, um, taking pictures of them, and that's actually turned into what I love to do because I just took that leap of faith and I was like, okay, like let's just do it, see what happens, and maybe it'll help me get better at sideline reporting. And now looking back, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to do that anymore. Like I could totally just do digital marketing and social media content for a team and just really help promote other people instead of myself. So I guess the advice that I would give would be really put yourself out there, make yourself available, take advantage of every single opportunity, hold yourself accountable, but also give yourself some grace because you're definitely going to mess up. I mean, my first game, I played the wrong song for the national anthem
Oh,
when I had to work the soundboard. So give yourself some grace. Definitely, you're going to be thrown into situations that you never expected to be thrown in. And just honestly get ready to have a ton of fun. Like, it's a great time, and you get to meet awesome people who all have like-minded goals and are all ready to work hard, especially if you're working with the right athletes and the right team when it comes to the background of sports, like behind the scenes.
you mentioned the St. Louis Cardinals. Is that like your team, your favorite team?
Yeah, that's my favorite. I'm a
Where where,
diehard St.
where
Louis
does that
Cardinals.
come from? Being from Florida.
So it actually comes from my dad. I grew up so my dad and his best friends, they were St. Louis Cardinals fans growing up. So I grew up going to spring training games every single summer to watch the Cardinals play. So it just, it got instilled in me and never left.
Hey, I mean, being from like the New York City, I used to live in Staten Island, New York, but then we moved to
Okay.
Jersey. Um, Jets fan, Yankees fan, Jets
Okay.
specifically, years of not good sports, but Yankees, thank God I'm like somewhat credible in terms of like watching and like being a fan. I
Yeah,
think
they're doing great this
yeah, I
year.
think they
I
just hit
mean,
like 60 wins, I think, or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised, but how do you feel about Matt Carpenter and the mustache?
Man, I mean, the Yankees have a tradition of no like beards, right? But the mustaches are acceptable. So I me- I remember I think I was at a game where he hit a home run. Because I've been to a bunch of games. I actually saw Judge's 20th home run this year. Like, it
Oh,
landed
that's
like
awesome.
10 feet from me. I was like, oh my god. But Matt Carpenter, yeah, he was on the Cardinals, I think, right? Is that what you
Yeah.
say? Yeah.
Hmm.
I like the mustache. I like it.
Yeah.
Talking about mustaches now, it was also at the game about, it was Nestor Cortez t-shirt night, right? Do you know who that is?
Oh, fun.
They
Yes.
call him Nasty Nestor.
Yes.
And he has like the mustache. So there's actually this. Oh, I don't have it on my rack. There's actually a shirt that we all got, and it was an outline of his eyebrows, his mustache, and his hair.
That's awesome.
So that was funny. But yeah, I'm going to a couple more games this year at Yankee Stadium. So I love
That's
going to
great.
baseball games because one,
Same.
they're like very accessible. Like even at Yankee Stadium, one of the biggest markets, tickets you can get for like $20. But
Really.
yeah, in the bleachers. Oh my God, Yankee Stadium. I'm not sure if you've ever been or know, but they have the bleacher creatures in right field. It's like not like a regular seat with a back, like a bench bleacher, and they do like the roll call for each player before the game. Like they get them to like wave back at them, and like nuts. I remember, I'm going on now, but my brother's graduation this past year, we sat behind home plate. As a graduation gift, really. Not behind directly there, but like somewhere good, better seats than normal we would get. And it
That's
started
awesome.
raining, right? Everyone in front of us and like around us like went under like the pavilion or whatever to not get wet. The bleachers, no one moved. Everyone was still there. Those we call them like
Really.
the real fans because no downpour like pouring. The game got like paused for like 5 minutes or something because of the rain. But yeah, that's just a spiel or story about Yankee Stadium.
No, yeah, we have. I mean, I went to a St. Louis Cardinals Cubs game at Busch Stadium, so that was awesome. Just getting able to really, be at my dream stadium for a rivalry game. That was such a good time. But speaking of bleacher creatures, we have those at Stetson for baseball, but they're redoing the field. So I don't know if they're getting their own section, but it's the same group of people, and they come out every single game, and they get their own call during the seventh inning. So I'm hoping they dedicate a little something to them at the new Melching Field.
So that's cool. They're like really you can't play on the stadium now because it's getting redone.
Yeah, it's completely torn up. So
Oh.
they're redoing the whole thing, new concourse and everything. It's gonna be beautiful.
Hmm. I remember they had like a nice little like area for like Jacob DeGrom and like
Hmm.
Corey Kluber, I think, right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
there was one more guy who went to like the Seattle team, who went to Seattle.
Oh,
The pitcher.
Gilbert.
Yeah,
Logan Gilbert.
that's
Hmm.
pretty cool, right?
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
been throwing phenomenally. I've seen a few posts about him, and I know DeGrom is actually coming to Daytona. He's throwing for the Port St. Lucie Mets against the Daytona Tortugas soon. I think he's in rehab or something for a recent injury, but
Right.
that's been all the rave. I get tagged in all of those on Stetson Hatters because everybody's excited that he's coming back.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, we're so close to like being directly connected with professional athletes that really only one or two people away probably from knowing somebody to like then talking to them. So that's pretty cool, I think, just in terms of like where we are, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm excited to move up, talk to more people, and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's like sports is such a small world, and it's crazy. Just like if you know one person, it feels like you know them all because everybody knows somebody.
Yeah. Going on to something you said about a little bit earlier about the transfer portal and like all the people in that summer league in Florida really are in the transfer portal looking for new places to live or new places to go to school. What do you think about the future of like the transfer portal and how like maybe NIL can really like play a factor in that?
Um, I have mixed feelings about it. I don't know a whole lot about NIL. I would like to know more. I haven't really been able to follow it. It seems like to me the only sport that it's really affected has been football. For just student athletes who like are promised certain amounts of NIL. However, so I don't really know a whole lot to make a comment on that. I know that NIL has benefited me just through the use of like free gear, like free clothes and things like that, if I'm being completely honest. However, I have seen it be able to help out a lot of athletes. Like FSU is creating their own like agency essentially. So you're kind of like a professional athlete. Like it's your name, image, you're branding yourself.
Yeah.
which I think is great. I think it can also have its downfalls, especially because you are in the private eye. I mean, the public eye at such a young age. You kind of really, I mean, as a student athlete, you've always had to watch what you do. Like, it's huge on us for what do you post on social media? How do you market yourself? You're, like I said, you're a brand. So I think there's a lot more pressure on that. And I think that some people think that that's like affected athletes' mental health these days. I guess going to the transfer portal, I think that it is good and bad. I've seen some friends really make themselves better by going in the transfer portal. I have a friend who she is now going to a school out in California after being committed to a school since her freshman year. She played one season there. She decided it wasn't for her. And now she's going somewhere where she's going to be happier and closer to her family. So I think that it's great in that aspect. I think that maybe there should be some more rules and regulations around it. It's not something that I've ever really looked into the rules with it because I love Stetson and I wouldn't leave. Like, it's great. But I think that it has its benefits for sure. Some people can find places that they will be happier there and they have more opportunities and possibly a better future with their careers on the academic side. However, I believe also that it is like a free agency. Like, everyone is for themselves these days, and I think that it really hinders the whole loyalty. And something that we really try and implement at Stetson is team culture. And I think that it can make it difficult to build a team culture when you're bringing in new people constantly. So many people are going into the portal, and it makes it like a revolving door, which I think is kind of unfortunate. And it kind of leaves some athletes where when you don't play a sport where there is opportunities to get drafted, like a lot of opportunities like baseball or football and basketball, I think that sometimes it can leave you just taking 6 years to get your degree because sometimes all those credits don't transfer and then you're like, what was this for? But so that's my spiel on good and the bad of the transfer portal, in my personal opinion, given that I don't have a whole lot of experience with it, thankfully. So
there's trade-offs, I think, for what is good and what is bad. I know college football is insane just because I've been really not, I guess you can say, really involved in like keeping up with like the media. Like, for example, the kid Arch Manning just committed to Texas, right? And I've been seeing posts all about if this one kid, like there was one kid who committed to Miami for football. He had like couple $1 million NIL guaranteed deal like promised, and they're like, oh, what is Arch Manning gonna get if he was like the 5th quarterback? What is Arch number 1 gonna get? I'm like, I don't know. But like it's so crazy how like now sponsors and different boosters and brands can now like, hey, come to my school and we'll give you, you know, a new truck or something, but it's an NIL deal, so it's a sponsored thing and not like we're just giving it to you. It's by the boosters of the team. So and then you mentioned like the new regulations that are really limited and like because everything is so new. I think in the future we probably could see limitations. I think on stuff that because everything is I think free game right now because it's all new. There's probably not clear cut rules of like what is legal and what's not. So it's very interesting to see, and I think athletes, especially in the transfer portal, that aren't maybe in the market to get drafted or make a professional career, everyone's looking how they can put themselves in the best position to benefit maybe financially, whatever, if it's at one school or 6 schools, you know. So
I think kind of like what you said about Arch, like that's kind of what I was trying to look more into on how NIL affects that. And I think a big thing for me, like when I was younger going through the recruiting process, was everyone wanted to get committed. Like I grew up kind of I had a friend who committed in like 8th grade. Like that was just insane to me. And I committed pretty late, right after they made the rule change where you couldn't commit before September 1st of your junior year. And it was a big thing, like these verbal commitments. They weren't even like written. So I've always kind of wondered, are these NIL deals verbal or are they written contracts to these kids who are only in their sophomore year of high school or going to their junior year of high school? Like, how do we know that that isn't going to change? Like, I think that that's a lot just to put on someone's word when either party can back out at any given moment. So I think
Yeah.
that's something that's really we're going to see some change with in the next few years here.
Absolutely, and I think that's when like coaches or recruiters or boosters can really take advantage really of high school athletes when you're like sophomore year in high school. Yeah, I'll give you some sort of money or some asset that is valuable and like it's not written down or anything, and you can't commit on an
Mm-hmm.
offer that they give you, right? Like I know of a girl who committed to a school during like early high school or maybe eighth grade, and college now we're the same age. I don't think she's not playing for them, and she like committed like verbally. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like yeah. So just be. I would say to everyone, just be careful about how what coaches could tell you. If it's not written, then it's not final, and it can change. Because once
Yeah.
they say a lot of like another example, one of my friends, he had an offer to a Division 3 school, and he didn't commit right away to it. He wasn't like it was committable, but the team filled up their spots, and then he tried to commit, and the coach was like, "Hey, sorry, like you can't come here anymore. We have enough people." So be sure if a college offers you that it's like finalized and it's committable, and there's like a time frame of where you can, and just be careful.
Yeah, that's one thing that like always also my family's a big part of it, so I always wanted them to kind of really enjoy the school that I go to, and my parents love Stetson, and um, kind of like we said with verbal commitments and doing your research, and I think we didn't talk about doing your research, but one thing that has always been big for me is like do your research, like get to know the coach, see how they interact in a game, and I think that also like with the whole NIL deals and things like that, like people can rush just to get that commitment post out or get that NIL deal, and they really don't figure out who they're playing for and learn the coaches that they're playing for and the team that they're really committing 4 years of their life to and their
Yeah.
possibly future careers and degrees. So one thing that like I'm really grateful for was I committed and I signed to play under an amazing coach, and he's retired now, but the coach that they brought in, she was our assistant coach, and she's been just as great. Like really figure out like would you want to play for those people no matter what, and that's something kind of going back to the advice that you talked about with just people, like even if it's for athletes, like find out where you belong and find out where you can become the best version of yourself as well when it comes to being in sports.
Right. Wow. So going on about 50 minutes now.
Sorry, I know it's a lot.
No, I'm talking about no. This has been great, like free flowing. Do you have anything else you want to add that we maybe didn't hit on at all that you want to give light to?
I don't think so. I think you kind of like, I mean, you nailed it. I think anything that I really want to say is like, no, I think you got it all actually. Yeah, you did great. You knew everything. I was like, wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I can't give all my credit to myself though. We have a team of interns. Our girls, Eve and Teresa, they do a lot of research work behind the scenes for the podcast. So thank you
That's
guys.
awesome.
Yeah, they put together like a list of background about each of our guests, and
Oh,
then I
that's great.
developed
They
this.
did.
And I just
They did
developed
great.
like niche down questions based on what they come out with. So, thank you guys.
Oh, they're awesome. Tell them I said great job.
Yes. Last thing we always ask in this podcast to every athlete: if you could give a piece of advice to your younger self, what would you say to them?
Oh gosh.
Maybe like high school Maddy.
Okay. Oh gosh. I would say nothing ends up how you thought it would be, but you've never been happier. Like you are going to enjoy every single moment of it. You're going to see yourself living a dream that you never thought you would be living in. And as crazy as the last 2 years have been, only good has come out of them, truly, even though it seems like it wouldn't. Like it's been a great time, and I've had a great ride through college, and it's been awesome. So never been happier.
You probably had dreams and goals of what you can see, and you probably might be able to still see them, but I guarantee you it hasn't been exactly how you envisioned it. And I can say that about myself as well. So the biggest thing I can say about that is just adapt to what's thrown at you and take advantage of opportunities that are presented in front of you.
Yeah, definitely. I would say be adaptable, and lead with like love, and just bring joy to every single situation that you can, because it's going to be crazy, but all the hard work is going to be worth it.
Absolutely. I want to thank Maddy for coming on with us, episode 4 of Athlete POV. Excited to see what you guys do this next season, and we'll be keeping in touch, keeping up with you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
All right.